Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Convenience Industry Council of Canada and our members right across Ontario, it's a pleasure to welcome you here to this On the Run store. This store is owned by Parkland, which was one of the founding members of the CICC. Today's announcement is another important step towards modernizing Ontario's beverage alcohol regime. On behalf of our industry, I want to commend Premier Ford and Minister Bethlenfalvy for their leadership navigating through this complex and significant policy change. Without them, we literally wouldn't be standing here today. We know that it will take a lot of hard work in the coming months to get the details of the new retail, regulatory, and distribution framework right, and we at the CRCC are ready to do our part. We're looking forward to working with government and other stakeholders to make this initiative a success and ensure we keep prices competitive for our valued customers. Once again, I want to thank the Premier and his government, and I look forward to continuing the work to build on today's important announcement. With that, I will turn it over to Minister Bethlenfalvy.
Thanks, Anne. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Anne, for that introduction, that very kind introduction, and it's a pleasure again to be here alongside Premier Ford. We seem to do this quite a lot, Premier, to share an update about where we have that moving Ontario forward and an announcement that we are absolutely thrilled about, especially as we head into the summer season. And of course, everyone knows the weather today is beautiful here in Etobicoke, and that's a provincial responsibility. Everybody knows the weather is provincial. We welcome you here today. Last December, we announced that our government was delivering on its commitment to give people more choice and convenience when buying their favorite alcoholic drinks, making the sale of beer, wine, cider, and ready-to-drink beverages possible at all participating convenience, grocery, and big box stores across the province. Since then, we've been working closely with our agencies, retail industry partners, and local producers to make this promise a reality. And let me tell you, we're ahead of schedule in achieving that shared goal. Our government is creating the conditions for a more open and convenient marketplace for alcohol, one that is safe, stable, and predictable, and which allows individual retailers and businesses to make their own decisions about how they participate and when, all while giving Ontarians the benefit of a competitive retail pricing across all new points of sale. Now, over time, this new and expanded marketplace will introduce thousands of new stores where Ontarians can buy their drinks of choice. And this represents, without a shadow of a doubt, the largest transformation of Ontario's alcohol marketplace since the end of Prohibition nearly 100 years ago. An important moment in our province's history, but this change won't happen overnight. In the months ahead, we will continue to work with partners, producers, and other stakeholders on their role in this new marketplace. Folks, this is an exciting new step, and one that I'm very proud to be part of, and one that we all look forward to delivering as we continue to be a government that treats Ontarians like adults and gives them choice and convenience they deserve. And now it is my distinct honor and privilege, as I will turn things over to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, for today's big announcement. Thank you, everyone.
Well, good morning, everyone, and I'm just so excited to be here today. And Peter, thank you for that introduction. And I'm thrilled to be here in the great state of Etobicoke alongside Minister Bethlenfalvy and a great Attorney General, Minister Doug Downey. Before I get started, I want to acknowledge and welcome Carmine Nigro, the Chair of LCBO, Ian White, President and CEO of Parkland Canada, and the entire team, Parkland On the Run, for operating a great store here in Etobicoke, and I'm here quite frequently, almost every single day actually, as well as Anne from the Convenience Industry Council of Canada. And Anne, thank you for your words earlier on. Scott from the Ontario Craft Brewers, Richard from Ontario Craft Wineries, Debbie and Matthias from Grape Growers of Ontario, Matt from Ontario Craft Cider Association, Emma and CJ from Beer Canada, and all our association partners here today. It was just a few months ago that we were together talking about our plan to give people more choice and more convenience when it comes to buying beer, cider, wine, and other alcoholic beverages in Ontario. The response from the public, from stakeholders, from small businesses has been absolutely overwhelmingly positive. People are excited they're going to enjoy the same choice and convenience as other Canadians and other people right across the world. To buy a case of beer or a bottle of wine on the way up to the cottage, or maybe you're going to start up the grill in the backyard or summer barbecue, they're excited to hear that they're finally being treated as adults. And today, I'm thrilled to announce that we're not only keeping our promise and delivering on our plan, we're getting it done faster. In fact, we're getting it done starting this summer. Beginning August the 1st, people will be able to buy ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages like coolers and seltzers at grocery stores that currently sell wine or beer. These stores will also be able to sell larger pack-size beers like the 30-pack case of beer that is popular in Quebec. And I know, Peter, you go visit back where you originally came from, and you love those big 30-pack cases of beer. Well, my friend, you don't have to go to Quebec to get that anymore. You can get it right here in Ontario. And on September the 5th, convenience stores like this one will be able to sell beer, cider, wine, and ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages. And finally, as of October 31st, every convenience, grocery, and big box store in Ontario will be able to sell beer, cider, wine, and ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages. As we enter this new marketplace, the beer store and the LCBO will continue to play a big role. Spirits like vodka, gin, and whiskey will continue to be sold at the LCBO. The beer store will remain active in distribution, recycling, and as a valued retailer. And I have to pause to thank the LCBO and the beer store for being amazing partners throughout this entire process. And in particular, I want to thank their workers and give them every assurance we're going to have your backs. I also want to recognize the province's retailers, industry associations, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, and brewers and wine producers, as well as the many members of our public service, led by our amazing Secretary of Cabinet, Michelle D'Emmanuel, and she's an absolute champion, by the way. And finally, I want to give special thanks to the thousands of convenience store operators across Ontario who run their stores safely and responsibly each and every day, and who will continue to do so in this new marketplace. This has been a true Team Ontario effort. We expect that this new marketplace will introduce up to 8,500 new stores where consumers can purchase alcohol products. I want to be clear, the government is creating the conditions for a more open and convenient marketplace. It will be up to the individual retailers and businesses to make their own decisions about how they participate and when. But this is a really exciting time for consumers and businesses. That's because our plan will create new growth opportunities for local brewers, wineries, retailers, and small businesses. It's going to support local jobs. And most importantly, it's going to give people more choice and convenience. A change of this size and scope won't be without bumps in the road. After 97 years of making a change, you always have a few bumps, but I'm confident we'll get through those bumps. But I've never been more confident in Team Ontario to quickly address any challenges we might face. Friends, since we were first elected to office in 2018, our government has been working hard to make life easier and more convenient and affordable for Ontario families. All across government, we're putting customers first. We're modernizing outdated regulations and cutting the unnecessary red tape that costs people and business time and money. We're working for you, and we're getting it done. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We'll now go to reporters' questions. Please identify yourselves by name and outlet. It'll be one question and one follow-up. First question.
Morning, Premier Richard Southern with 680 News Radio. How are you?
I'm doing good, Richard.
Good. I'm sure there are Ontarians wondering why they are on the hook for urgency here. My question is, why is $225 million taxpayer dollars going to the beer store simply to speed this up a year and a half? What is the rush, Premier?
Well, let's be very clear. It was a promise that we made 2018, and we're moving forward with it. But it's not going directly to the beer stores. Where it's going is to make sure that we protect the beer store employees, to make sure they know they're going to be taken care of. We're going to audit every single penny to make sure it's going in the right place. So it's not going into the big breweries' pockets or anything like that. It's going to the frontline people and who we support to make sure the transition as we go through over the next few years, the beer store plays a critical role in recycling and distribution. And we're going to make sure we protect the employees.
Okay, it's my understanding this is money that wouldn't have had to have been paid if this started in 2026. But my follow-up, sir, the LCBO is going to offer rebates for a certain amount of time, a discount on the wholesale price of alcohol. Can you tell Ontarians exactly how much money this is going to cost the LCBO, and why is any of this a good use of taxpayer dollars?
Well, Richard, you may not think it's good news after having a monopoly of 97 years, almost 100 years, only jurisdiction in the entire world. You can't walk into a grocery store, a retail, a convenience store, and pick up a case of beer or wine. We're bringing it, we're moving it forward. The monopoly with the three big breweries, they're done, they're gone. We're going to make sure it's convenient for people and be treated like everyone else in the country. Be treated like everyone else down in the U.S., North America, everywhere. You can walk into a store and pick up a can of beer, a case of beer, a bottle of wine, ready to drink. And that's why we're doing it. We're keeping our promise, and we're going to move forward on this. And it's overwhelmingly popular. Overwhelmingly. I've never seen numbers this high before.
Morning, Premier.
Hi.
Liam Casey with the Canadian Press.
Hi.
A lot of your former staffers lobby on behalf of brewers, convenience stores, and grocery stores. Did that play any role in your sped-up timeline?
No, not at all. We promised this back in 2018, and we're just going to move forward for the people of Ontario. They want it. We're going to do it.
CAMH and CMHA, among other health organizations and mental health organizations, recently called you out for not having a provincial health strategy on alcohol. You've allocated $10 million over 5 years for extra social responsibility measures. Is $2 million a year enough to handle this huge expansion in access to alcohol?
Well, let's be very clear with the numbers. The real numbers are $3.8 billion over 10 years, with conjunction with the federal government for mental health and addiction. No government's ever had a minister of mental health and addiction, and Michael Tobolo is doing an incredible job. We take this very seriously. We put more money into mental health and addiction than any government in the history of this country, in the history of this province, and we're doing fairly well with that. And it's going to be we're going to continue working with people that need help and support. Not mentioning on healthcare too. Our healthcare spending since we've been in office has jumped over 30%. Never been done before. Our budget's over $85 billion. We're hiring more doctors, 12,500, 80,000 new nurses, building $50 billion on 50 sites, either new hospitals or expansion in hospitals. We're hiring more healthcare workers than this province, this country's ever seen. We're going to continue doing that. We're adding new medical schools across the province and producing great healthcare workers. And I'm very, very grateful for all the work that they do day in and day out.
Hi, Premier. Barbara with Queen's Park Briefing. You recently said that your government is 100% opposed to drug decriminalization. And you also announced new legislation to deal with impaired drivers. Now today you're making this announcement. Don't you think these measures could be seen as contradictory?
Not at all, but thank you for that question. We have zero tolerance for drinking and driving, and we've increased the fines as well. I hear the police coming out yesterday about the reckless driving and speeding and racing on streets. Well, we're even going to make sure that someone gets caught doing that. We're going to increase the suspension of their vehicle. That announcement will be coming soon. Let's talk about decriminalization of drugs, and I know some of the medical officers of health came out with it. It's an absolute nightmare. It'd be disaster. Folks, imagine decriminalizing drugs like heroin, fentanyl, cocaine. We saw what happened in BC. We saw what's happening in the U.S. They're all reversing it. And it was a big mistake they did out in BC, and I'm so proud of Premier Eby for saying that they aren't going to do it anymore. The federal government, I want to thank them. They're giving the jurisdiction of that into the hands of the province. As long as I'm Premier, we're never going to decriminalize hardcore drugs. What I believe in, we need more detox centers, we need more rehabilitation centers, but we sure the heck don't need people shooting up and doing drugs in neighborhoods like Etobicoke or Mississauga or anywhere, in that case in Ontario. And the other area I want to address, I've sent a letter to the federal government on safe supply. Safe supply, folks, a drug addict can go up to a location and get free drugs, hardcore drugs. And what do? They don't even use it. They cut it with fentanyl. And half the deaths out in BC are from safe supply. And we aren't out there, promoting that these people are going to be distributing and selling drugs, getting cash, buying other drugs. It's a disaster. And anyone who thinks it's okay, they're wrong. It's not being done here in Ontario. We're going to make sure that we have safe streets, and we're going to support the people with addictions.
And what do you have to say to taxpayers who might not see today's announcement as a priority?
Well, we promised in 2018 and 2022 we're going to get it done. This money will be invested into the workers at the beer store and supporting them as we move forward with the rollout. And it's going to create jobs. It's going to create thousands of jobs that never existed before, no matter if it's in retail, big box, or in the convenience stores. It's a good move. People want it. And folks, this is no different than any other place in Canada, no place in the U.S. I know millions of people travel down across the border, south of the border. It's a no-brainer. You walk into your local convenience store, you pick up your wine, your case of beer, or you're ready to drink. People want it, and we're going to do it. And it's overwhelmingly popular.
Hi, Premier. Rob Ferguson, Toronto Star.
Hi, Rob.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, as you've mentioned, this is a big promise from 2018 that's finally been fulfilled. Does this, by moving it ahead of schedule, does this give you room, and are you planning to use this to get this out of the way, get it implemented, and call an early election?
No, what we're doing is keeping a promise, Rob, but thanks for the question. We have a long agenda that we're fulfilling the promises made, promises kept. We're getting it done for the people of Ontario, no matter if it's reducing the cost of gas by 10.7 cents per litre. That's going back into the people's pockets. I think it's probably over $2.2 billion, and maybe even higher. It grows every single day, Peter. Every single day it's putting money into people's pockets. It's like getting rid of the sticker on the back of the vehicles, or getting rid of the registration, or cutting the tolls on the 412, 418, or having people that ride transit, the one fare that saves up to $1,600 every single year. And I think that's a low figure, that they can hop on a GO train up in Doug Downey's area in Barrie on one fare, go to Union Station, hop off Union Station, go out to Mississauga, all on one fare. So we're putting money back into people's pockets, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing to reduce the burden on the backs for the people.
So are you committing then to sticking with the June 2026 election schedule? You're going to stick to that date?
We're going to make sure that we fulfill our agenda and our promises that we made, making sure we save taxpayers money, reducing the cost of doing business by $8 billion each and every year. That's where we're seeing just a tremendous response when it comes to the $43 billion of EV that's been invested, or $20 billion in the tech sector, or in the life sciences, another $3 billion. Right now, we're blessed. We're going on all cylinders. for the people of Ontario. And when I talk to consul generals and ambassadors and leaders of countries and governors from the U.S., they're in awe. They're in shock. When Bloomberg News comes out and says Canada, which should say Ontario, is now knocked off China as the #1 location for EV assembly, EV battery manufacturing, right here in Ontario, we're the only jurisdiction in the world. Think of that. The only jurisdiction in the world that have 6 of the largest auto manufacturers coming here and part manufacturers. And my good friend, our colleague, Vic Fideli, he's traveling the world once again. He's over in Japan and Korea, attracting more businesses coming here to Ontario. We are so blessed, I'll tell you. And reason being, we're the smartest and brightest people anywhere in the world, and the talent's here, and that's why people are opening up shop at unprecedented speed, and the dollar figures too.
Good morning, Premier. Colin DeMello with Global News.
Hey, Colin. Hey, you know your brother Dan Raj there? that son of a gun called me at 5:30 in the morning.
Not me.
5, and I was up, and I thought, I'm not going to answer it. But, buddy, you're getting a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, I just had to tell that side note.
That means you're going on Canada tonight, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Premier, you just a moment ago said that you have zero tolerance when it comes to drinking and driving.
Yes.
During the pandemic, your government introduced a policy that gave impaired drivers the option to downgrade their charges to careless driving in non-serious cases. And we've been told that this was applied thousands of times since 2021. That policy remains in effect, so Crown prosecutors can still offer these downgraded charges to careless driving to drivers. Why are they still being offered if in impaired cases if you have a zero tolerance policy, and do you agree with it?
Yeah, good point. I'm going to hand it over to the Attorney General.
Thanks, Colin. That was a policy, and it's not for the drivers to downgrade, as you say. It was for the prosecutors to have the option to make sure that the most important cases are being reached through backlog in the courts. And so we have put that mandate in place in cooperation with our partners, being Mad Canada and the police services around Ontario. We're re-engaging that discussion because we're still dealing with the after effects of COVID as it relates to the courts. And I'll be talking to the Police Association of Ontario as early as next week. So it's a live discussion, and we'll keep you up to date.
Thank you. And on another topic, Premier, last year, Ontario's Auditor General identified issues with staff in your government using private email addresses for government business. What is your view of government employees using private email addresses to conduct government business?
Well, they shouldn't, plain and simple. They should be using government-issued emails, as simple as that, and we'll make sure we enforce that.
Hi, Premier. Siobhan Morris from
Hi,
CTV
Siobhan.
News. You talked about the campaign promises you made in 2018 around alcohol sales. One of the promises you made then was also to end hallway healthcare. At this moment, we know that hospitals are overloaded. Some are closing because they don't have enough staff or finances to keep going. Millions of Ontarians don't have a family doctor. Cities like Toronto are dealing with crumbling infrastructure, saying they don't have enough funds. I'm wondering, as Premier, looking at those list of priorities, how is paying $225 million to accelerate alcohol sales the place that money should go?
Well, thank you for that, and I'll just rattle off a few things. When it comes to patient and family docs, we have the lowest in the entire country. Is it good enough? No, it's not good enough. So we're going to do continuous improvement on that. No one's invested more into healthcare than we have, over $30 billion since we've taken office. We've made massive gains. We have the lowest percentage when it comes to wait times. If you have a backlog surgery and getting into the hospitals, again, not acceptable, but we're the lowest in the entire country. We've hired over 12,500 doctors. As they were cutting, the previous government, the provincial Liberals were cutting seats in universities. We've added seats, hundreds and hundreds of seats in universities. We're opening three medical schools. You just heard from York. You've heard of Brampton. We've added seats out at U of T and up north. We've hired over 80,000, registered over 80,000 nurses. There's 30,000 nurses in colleges and universities that are ready to come into the healthcare sector and work. We are doing everything we can. We're modernizing areas right across the province. And the announcement of, I think it was about 545 million, Sylvia Jones mentioned about the health teams in jurisdictions around the province, connecting over 600,000 people to family docs. So, we're going to continue to improve, continue to invest. But man, have we come a long way in the healthcare sector. And I encourage any of you, call a CEO of any hospital in this province and ask them, is it better now than it was 6 years ago? There isn't one CEO that I've ever talked to that said it's not a little better, it's 10 times better. Talk to the folks at Sunnybrook, talk to UHN, talk to Humber River, talk to Trillium, that we're building a $12 billion project down there. The list goes on and on and on. It's night and day what we've done to our healthcare system, but is it good enough? It's not good enough. We need to continue investing and supporting.
I want to try this one more time about the election date.
Yes,
Are
sure.
you committed to June 2026, or should Ontarians be preparing for something maybe sooner?
Well, we're committed to getting our agenda through and making sure that we continue to create new opportunities and new jobs. When we took office in 2018, there was 300,000 people. Their jobs were chased out of this province. As our Minister of Energy likes to say, Todd Smith, all he saw is taillights going to the border, south of the border. Now, all we see are headlights coming into Ontario. There's over 700,000 people working today, collecting a better and bigger paycheck than there was 6 years ago, coming up June the 8th. And we've created the environment and conditions for companies to come here by reducing the burden of $8 billion each and every year off the backs of companies to compete against people over in Europe, over in Asia, South America, and of course our largest trading partner in the U.S. Just remember, last year alone, we created the environment and conditions. The manufacturers of this province created more manufacturing jobs in Ontario than all 50 U.S. states combined. And we have a growing population. We're the fastest growing region in North America, faster than Texas, faster than Florida combined. So we're going on all cylinders, and we're going to just keep investing and keep moving forward. And the reason? We have the greatest people in the entire world, the smartest people. We graduate over 70,000 STEM graduates every single year. The quality of life here is second to none. There's no better place to live, raise a family, work at a company, start a company than here in Ontario.
Hi there, Lorenda Redekop with CBC.
Hi, Lorenda.
I wanted to clarify from an earlier question. By allowing the grocery and convenience stores to sell for a cheaper price than the LCBO, how much revenue will the LCBO be losing out on?
Well, I'm going to pass this to the Finance Minister, but that's going to be the discretion of the convenience stores, right? Or the big box stores. We aren't going to dictate to them what they sell, their beer or their wine. No different than a loaf of bread. That's going to be up to them. But I'll pass it over to the Minister of Finance.
Yeah. Thank you, Premier, and thank you for the question. This is a great opportunity as well for the LCBO, because the LCBO will be now the wholesaler right across Ontario. So that's a big business opportunity as well. The LCBO will have the opportunity now sell larger pack sizes, the 2-4s and the pack of 30 that the Premier mentioned that people like to pick up when they go to the liquor store right across the world. You can do that. So now you're going to be able to do that in Ontario. So there's opportunity for the LCBO. And what's important is as we manage this transition, this is a big transition. Think about this. One big part of this is the 10-year monopoly beer store agreement that the previous Liberal government signed. We've had to deal with that. We've had to deal with a situation that for 97 years, since Prohibition ended in 1927, to now modernize that framework moving forward. One thing that'll be absolutely certain that you'll get from the Premier and from me and our whole team is that we will work with all stakeholders to minimize the disruption as this transformational change takes place that really provides so much more convenience and choice and competition. You mentioned, Premier, as an adult of age, I could buy wine and beer in the dépanneur in Quebec. So this is providing that same opportunity, and I'm very proud to be part of that as we work together with a lot of stakeholders, with workers, with the convenience stores, grocers, big box stores, and modernizing our alcohol system in Ontario.
In terms of a long-term plan for the beer store, I mean, if we've got the grocery stores that will be able to do the recycling, we've got LCBO and grocery stores being able to sell the larger packs of beer, do you see a point to the beer store?
Well, we're going to work with the beer store and their employees are our number one priority. They do an incredible job on distribution that they can enhance on the distribution side. They do a great job in recycling, and they can be open for business. You're going to get more variety in a beer store. They're going to carry all the beers. Some convenience and retailers, they may carry a few different types, but they have to change their footprint. Be creative. You know, you've been down to the U.S. You go into some of these, they're called liquor stores, beer stores. Man, they're top notch. They're pretty good. Just like the LCBO. You walk into an LCBO store, man, it's pretty impressive. So the beer store, change your footprint, come up with a new business plan, and be competitive. Be creative. That's what I encourage.
Hi, Premier Jeff Gray, Globe and Mail. I wondered if you could address what I think some Conservatives who are concerned about your government spending will say, which is that you're giving $225 million to a operation run by two of the biggest companies, beverage companies in the world, and you have a $9.8 billion deficit.
Well, that's a totally inaccurate statement. We aren't giving them to the Molsons of the world or the Labatts that they put the money in their pocket and say, see you later. So that's not accurate. What we're doing, we're supporting the frontline workers at the beer store and supporting them. But
I thought it went to Brewers Retail.
Again, we're going to be audited every step of the way to make sure that it's being distributed in the right fashion. But being fiscally conservative, I'll tell you, there's no better finance minister around. I talked to folks in New York, and they said your finance minister is absolutely genius compared to any other finance ministers that we've ever dealt with down there. He went out and bought 30-year bonds at 2%, saving hundreds and hundreds of probably billions of dollars. And I'm fortunate to have one of the brightest minds in the entire country as our finance minister, but I'll hand it over to you, Peter.
Oh, I don't know if I can top that compliment. Thank you, Premier. You know, so we issued even more 30-year bonds this week. We took advantage of very low rates over the last number of years, and a third of our portfolio is now 30-year bonds. So we take a lot of refinancing risk out. I will just add on the beer store. The Premier is 100% right. This is going as part of the agreement to unwind that 10-year monopoly that the previous government, the Liberal government, signed. Create an environment, whether this was 2 years ago or 2 years hence or now, some transition support for, as the Premier said, for, among other things, the employees of the beer store. So specifically, this will help maintain perhaps unprofitable beer stores through July 1st of 2025, 386 stores, and then in December 31st, another 300 stores. So it's not about using taxpayer money to end this deal. This is always about having as much of an orderly transition as possible, minimizing disruption, and giving a chance to adjust to the new world. And I'll just reiterate what the Premier said. The beer store is playing a significant role in distribution across the province, so that's an opportunity there, and also on recycling, which is absolutely critical. So with this transition, there is opportunity for the beer store.
I think Peter's being pretty modest. He has a path to balance in 2 years. And when we brought the budget and we sat down, you have two things you can do, folks. You balance right away and you just start chopping everything. I just don't believe in that because budgets come and go, and we're going to balance in 2 years. Unlike the federal government, unlike the Quebec government, unlike the BC government, they have no path to balance. We have a path to balance. We're going to continue investing $190 billion over the next 10 years into infrastructure, building the hospitals, building the schools. building the highways and bridges and roads that people need, the growing population here. We're getting the 413 done, the Bradford Bypass, Highway 3 going in southwestern Ontario. You go along the QEW, the 401, either way, you're seeing construction. The Garden City Parkway Bridge we're investing in. So we're investing heavily into infrastructure. Infrastructure, folks, as you know, will last 50 to 100 years. We're building the largest transit system in North America. It's unprecedented, the amount of investments we're doing, but we're planning not for next year, not for 2 years, for 10, 20, 50 years down the road. And that's what the previous government never thought about. And we're leading the world when it comes to infrastructure spending.
Premier, follow-up, that actually leads into my next question, because it does sound like there's an election already underway, with the way you're talking this morning. You've twice declined to rule out calling an early election. Can you talk a bit about why you're keeping your options open? Do you see an opportunity? The Liberals leader, the new Liberal leader, is not established yet. You've had some attack ads that have been a success against her. Is this a timing thing? You want to keep your options open when they're weak?
Well, again, I just want to get our agenda through. I want to continue building Ontario, creating more jobs that we never saw for 15 years in this province. All we saw is more and more debt and, hallway health care and jobs being run out of this province. And it was a nightmare. The way I describe it, private sector folks, like all four of us actually, I went into a province. Every ministry was a disaster. It was a bankrupt province. We've turned it around. And the ironic thing is, we did it during the pandemic. And it wasn't the government, it was the manufacturers of this great province and the service sector as well. Do you remember the days that Kathleen went out and said, let's get rid of the manufacturing and we're going to be a service sector province? Really? That worked out really well, didn't it? 300,000 people lost their jobs. We took the different approach. We're not only going to be the best service sector, we're going to be an economic powerhouse when it comes to manufacturing. We manufacture anything and everything here in Ontario. There's no jurisdiction in North America, and I travel the U.S. Right across from east, west, north, south, and there's no state that can compete against us on the diversity of products that we manufacture here in Ontario. And will continue, not just being, a powerhouse in North America, but around the world. People are talking about Ontario. They're in awe. That's what they are. I hear it every single day from foreign leaders, from ambassadors, from consul generals, and governors in the U.S. So we're going to continue moving forward. Folks, we do about $490 billion of two-way trade with the U.S. We increased that by $100 billion. When we took office, revenues here at the province were $150 billion. They're $214 billion. The greatest thing is, we're the only government. We have never, ever raised a tax. It's unheard of. You don't have to raise taxes. You don't have to gouge the people and put your hand in their pockets. You don't have to gouge businesses. We did the opposite. There's 700,000 people that are paying taxes that weren't paying taxes. There's tens of billions of dollars in investment in these companies that are paying taxes now that wouldn't even be here if we weren't in government right now. So we're going to continue going down that path. We increase revenues through growth, not through gouging people. They're finding a really tough time. And a message to the Bank of Canada: lower these damn interest rates finally, because we have a housing crisis. We're pushing the economy forward, and you're trying to kill the economy, meaning trying to kill people. So I look forward to you reducing the interest rates when time comes in June here. Enough is enough with these interest rates. And you lower the interest rates, quarter point, another quarter point, another quarter point. Guess what, folks? These homes, the affordable, the rental units are going to pop up like mushrooms, mark my words. But the Bank of Canada needs to get their act together.
This will be the last reporter.
Hi, Premier and everyone. This is Charlie Pinkerton of the Trillium. Premier, I just want to pick up on something that my colleague Liam Casey asked earlier. there seems to be, I believe, 15 or more lobbyists who have either worked for you or in your government who have now lobbied for companies who are going to benefit from this announcement today. And so I know this is an old promise, and I know, well, my guess of what you're thinking is that no one can influence the Fords, but we saw a disaster in Brighton recently where the municipality tried to hire a lobbying firm, and it really disrupted the municipality itself. So do you worry that there is a perception that to get things done from your government, that people, companies, municipalities, whatever it may be, should be hiring those close to you?
Not at all. First of all, we focus on for the people. We make our own decisions. I don't care who's trying to lobby. It's been going on for decades. They can't lobby me. I don't give two hoots about them. I care about the people. I care about the businesses. And as for municipalities, well, I don't understand why they'd even do that in the first place. Anyone who wants to call me, they can pick up the phone and call me directly on my cell phone. I get a couple hundred messages. I deal with everything from dogs to cats to cracked sidewalks to businesses, permits, you name it. They call me, and there's no reason. All 444 municipalities, every warden, every mayor has my personal phone call, and I deal with probably half a dozen minimum a day, mayors and wardens. So folks, you need something, you call me direct, call my office, call my colleagues. We return the calls. We get back to every single person. It's not big corporations that call me, small mom and pops, people that have a problem. And I hope this one person doesn't mind. I got a call about, I got to give a shout out to the person that called me about VIA. They couldn't get their pet on the VIA trains. They want to get canceled. So the president of VIA, let these people bring their pets. It's part of the family. If they're going to visit relatives somewhere, let them hop on the train. They're well behaved, and full disclosure, you know, I'm a dog lover. Family have dogs, but you got to support these people. So, anyways, that's just one of hundreds of calls I get about everything you could possibly think of.
And as a result of the announcement today and the plan going forward, one would think that the beer store's footprint in the province may decrease over time. There was a U of T study a few years ago about how its locations could be used to build thousands of new housing units. Is that something your government is looking into at all? Is it negotiating with the beer store for its properties, or would it consider doing that? And just on another topic, I think you met Drake yesterday, and so I'm interested to know what you and him talked about.
Yeah, good question. That was the best question you've asked me in 3 years, Charlie. Thank you. So, you know, on the beer store property, I always say there's not a postage stamp of property that the province and the federal government, municipalities, we aren't trying to build. So our goal is to build on everything we possibly can. And as for Drake, it was great to see him yesterday. Everyone's so happy about the WNBA. I think it's great for women's sport right across our province and our country. They're going to be our country's team. So I love that more and more women are getting involved, and having this team are going to encourage girls and young women in colleges and girls in the high schools to take up basketball. They're going to have role models. And as I said yesterday in my press conference, wouldn't it be great that a young girl in high school is playing basketball, goes to a college or university here in Ontario, and then plays for the local Toronto team? That's amazing. So I want to congratulate Mr. Tannenbaum and his whole team. What a great news that was. Absolutely fabulous news. So, but I didn't invite Drake over for a beer. I don't drink a beer. Maybe he doesn't either. But anyways, good to see him.
Thanks, everyone.
That's it. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. And we look forward to going into a convenience store, a big box store, a retailer, pick up a pack of beer, ready to drink or wine for the summer. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.